beyond what we had first initially imagined, and so now we're dreaming a little bit. You know, we even had a conversation, well, what if we just tried to run the factory as like a cooperative? We don't have any money, we're not capitalists. We're having those kind of conversations, and the workers are thinking about it, and it's a difficult thing, because, you know, if you've been told your whole life that things are the way other people tell you they are, to be able to think, well, no, I can make it different is quite a big deal.
All over the national news, everyone is watching you because they're so inspired by you. Y yo también me siento muy orgullosa.
After 6 days of the sit-in, Bank of America decided enough was enough. Better to pay off these workers now and hope their little revolution goes away. And so the bank and the company agreed to all the workers' demands.
The average package for each worker will be very close to $6,000. But this is about more than just money. It's about what can be achieved when workers organize and stand up for justice.
Just fight, just to get like the most basic thing that people should take for granted. And that's, you know, legally theirs. We just fight so hard just for the most basic things in life.
It's a fight we knew all too well in Flint, Michigan. For it was here that my uncle and his fellow workers first brought down the mighty corporate interests that dominated their lives. It was the day before New Year's Eve in 1936, and hundreds of men and women took over the GM factories in Flint and occupied them for 44 days. They were the first union that beat an industrial corporation, and their actions eventually resulted in the creation of a middle class. But back in these days of the Flint sit-down strike, the police and the company thugs were not going to just stand by. After a bloody battle one evening, the governor of Michigan, with the support of the President of the United States, Franklin Roosevelt, sent in the National Guard. But the guns of the soldiers weren't used on the workers. They were pointed at the police and the hired goons, warning them to leave these workers alone. For Mr. Roosevelt believed that the men inside had a right to a redress of their grievances. 7 years later, President Roosevelt was too sick to go up to the Capitol and give his annual State of the Union address.
Ladies and gentlemen, the President of the United States. It has been my custom to deliver these annual messages in person.
So he gave it from the White House over the radio. When it was over, he asked the newsreel cameras to step into his room because he wanted the American people to see one particular part of his speech. The President of the United States then took the radical step of proposing a second Bill of Rights to the Constitution.
In our day, certain economic truths have become accepted as self-evident. A second Bill of Rights, under which a new basis of security and prosperity can be established for all, regardless of station or race or creed. Among these are the right to a useful and remunerative job, the right to earn enough to provide adequate food and clothing and recreation, the right of every farmer to raise and sell his products at a return which will give him and his family a decent living, the right of every businessman, large and small, to trade in an atmosphere of freedom, freedom from unfair competition and domination by monopolies at home or abroad, the right of every family to a decent home, the right to adequate medical care and the opportunity to achieve and enjoy good health, the right to adequate protection from the economic fears of old age, sickness, accident, and unemployment, the right to a good education. All of these rights spell security. And after this war is won, we must be prepared to move forward in the implementation of these rights to new goals of human happiness and well-being. For unless there is security here at home, there cannot be lasting peace in the world.
Roosevelt would be dead in little over a year. He would not live to see the end of the war, nor would there be any enactment of his new Bill of Rights. Had he lived and succeeded, every American, regardless of race, would have had a right to a decent job, a livable wage, universal health care, a good education, an affordable home, a paid vacation, and an adequate pension. None of this would come to pass